Hi guys, so welcome to NTS, where I continue to read your DMs anonymously, of course, where we all try to feel a bit less alone. Um, Thank you for being here. If it's your first time, welcome. I'm really looking forward to just diving in today and keeping it as straightforward and as sincere as possible. Um, Reading these doesn't get easier, but it definitely gets more fulfilling with each time. So, again, we have a number of DMs you've sent, selected by the producer in this lovely mango-esque package container. Sorry. And yeah, let's see what we find. Okay. Okay. This DM was sent on the 6th of January at 4:50 a.m. I wanna die. I don't have anybody anymore. I don't have anyone. I am alone. I can't do this alone. I can't. I really can't. I just wanna die. I just wanna die. Um, I know that feeling. I understand that feeling. I am familiar with that feeling, but I also know that no feeling is final. And I've said this more times than I care to admit because it is true. Um, I also know that wanting to die doesn't mean that you don't want to live. You just want the pain to stop. I do want to say something in response to this person specifically. The notion that you have no one is a lie because you have yourself. And that is the most important relationship you will ever have. I'm not saying we don't all need support systems. I'm not saying we don't all need friends. I'm not saying we don't all need loved ones in our lives to guide us when life looks a bit dark and scary. We do need those things, but when push comes to shove, you come to this world alone and you leave alone. So, before telling you the obvious, which is to do your best to get the help of a mental health professional, which is a given, I would say look within yourself first. Um, I'm not saying this because it's easy to do. I'm saying this because hopefully these are words you can find refuge in, which is that you have always been enough, and that if you start to look really inward, if you stop talking negatively to yourself, if you stop the negative self-talk, if you try to be more intentional about why you deserve to be in this world, that's at least part of the first step beyond, again, seeking the support of a mental health professional. So that's what I would say. Because even if, you didn't mention your diagnosis in this DM, but even if you struggle with dysthymia, major depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, whatever you struggle with, drugs and therapists won't help you alone. You have to believe that you're worth saving. And so I hope and pray that you see that. I wish you the best. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next one, shall we? Let's see what the producers have. I was nervous to pick these out, but okay. Okay, the next DM. Okay, this was sent on Wednesday at 7:56 a.m. Hi, my name is A. I'm only 17. A few days ago, I overdosed on benzodiazepines. I'm probably saying that wrong, but I'm gonna say on benzos in a last ditch attempt to get myself over with. Surviving gave me a whole different outlook on life. I'm currently trying to get better, little by little. I've been struggling with bipolar type 1 and addiction for years. But I'm finding a way out though. I'm finding a way out through I'm finding a way out through therapy and antipsychotic medication, antidepressant medication. And if this message has reached you, I'm still fighting, and I won't stop until my last breath. Bipolar is tough. Um, I'm glad you're on antipsychotic and antidepressant medication. I have a friend who's a lovely author in the UK who also takes antipsychotics, and it changed her life. So I'm really grateful that you're doing that. It's nice to see some resilience in your voice or in your tone. Because obviously I can't hear you, I'm reading, but it's very encouraging to hear some resilience in your voice. Um, Look, the thing about being bipolar is that your life is a series of small hacks to overpower the man in your head that's telling you to bed rot and to do nothing. I'm glad that you took your survival of your attempt as a point of inspiration. And something in my bones tells me that you'll be fine. Um, I don't know. I don't always get DMs like this that end on a high note, but the zeal and the healthy audacity you have to keep going despite all the elements and your mental ailment, one that I share as far as being bipolar as well myself, is yeah, that put a smile on my face. So thank you for that. Um, and I wish you all the best. Really, I do. Okay, shall we go through one more DM and see what the producers have selected? Okay, this is a big one. This was sent on the 6th of January at 12:08 a.m. Had a mental break yesterday and just finished up talking to a crisis counselor. That's a good start. It's just so effing heavy. There are so many positive things going on in my life. Upcoming wedding, stable job, good apartment. But my mental health and chronic suicidal ideation feels like a cloud of doom. I just want to disappear more than die, I think. Mm. Which isn't super healthy or great either, obviously. I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to figure it out. I know I will as always. I know I will, as I always have, figured out, but I just wish it was different. A different brain, I think. A different deck of cards in the game of life. Just needed to, just needed to scream into the void. um, I understand this so profoundly. Um, when I came out about wanting to die by medically assisted death a while ago, people, I remember, forget people, I remember being asked by a BBC journalist during an interview. I remember being asked, I remember being asked, what, on live radio, why somebody as seemingly articulate, attractive, and as, you know, dynamic as myself was interested in wanting to die in a humane way by euthanasia. And I was very perplexed by this question because the idea that people who, like this person, who has admitted to having a stable job, a nice apartment, and is getting married soon, the idea that people with seemingly fabulous lives aren't aren't or aren't suffering or aren't struggling is a very toxic and dangerous rhetoric because it stops people who appear to have it all figured out from speaking up when they need to the most. Um, and it's so reductive to think that material, it's so reductive to think that material comforts solve all your problems. And we've heard this several times. We've heard this from Kendrick Lamar. You know, we've heard, in that lovely interview with Rick Rubin. Um, we've heard it from comedians like who's that comedian who plays the green mask man? Um, yeah, we've heard it from comedians like Jim Carrey, who've said thousands of times that at the end of material fulfillment is unfortunately more pain. We've heard it from people like Will Smith several times that just because you achieve everything that material wealth can buy doesn't mean your life is going to be rosy. I mean, you still have to deal with yourself, even in your Ferrari. Um, and so I think that I can imagine that this person felt they could only confide in someone like me because anyone else looking at their life would think that they're insane with all the stability and creature comforts they appear to have. And that's something that I struggled with, the readiness with which people were willing to discredit my pain because it appeared as though I looked put together or because I had some chewed up Prada sneakers. And at the end of the day, even if, even if you think that someone like me is a horrible person or like the worst person you've ever met, that has like horrible people also feel horrible people also have mental health disorders. It doesn't justify them being horrible, but that's just the reality. But because people don't have nuance, and because there has to be this idea of good or bad, perfect or trash, because we exist in these extremities, because as Guillermo del Toro said, we exist in a sort of tantrum of perfection. Um, we don't have space for or capacity for any sort of nuance. Everything must either be the greatest or the worst. Um, and so I understand this person, and I guess what I would like to say to this person is, speak to your family about what you're feeling, despite the fact that they might admire your material success. S- open up, because you might be surprised that that might make all the difference. And if you are shut down or ridiculed, go somewhere else for that support. I know what it's like to be born with a brain that is fighting with what appears to be your ability to want to be alive. I know what it feels like to feel like you are cursed with a mind that won't allow you to enjoy the phenomenon of life. I understand that profoundly, and I when you said, I wish I had a different brain, I get that. But you have the brain you have, and I have the brain I have, and so we have to make it work. And so please speak up. Don't feel like you are shackled by the appearance of your perfect life, quote unquote. Because if there's one thing I've learned on this strange journey of mine, it is that it is far more important how your life feels than how your life looks. Please know that your feelings are completely valid, and don't cage yourself living on the basis of other people's perceptions. Seek the help you need, and yes, I'm not stupid or naive. I'm viscerally aware that people do take their lives due to struggles with finances, and there's a correlation there. That reality is true and exists. Two things can be true at the same time. Two things can be true at the same time. Yes, people take their lives because they don't know how to live without the means to take care of themselves and their families, and there's a financial strain. People also take their lives when they come to terms with the fact that there is still an emptiness at the end of Mount Olympus when they have all their material success. I had a friend like that who had everything to live for, all the resource, all the resource mobilization and all the support. Didn't have to worry about money, but still took his life. So two things can be true at the same time, and I think that's a really, really important thing to hone in and to like really like drive home. Um, so yeah, I wish you all the best. I'm glad that my page was a safe space for you to share that, and I really do hope that even within the context of what looks like a perfect life, that you do find some peace, be it through prescription medication, treatment of some kind, or just having someone to speak to who is a mental health professional, like a psychologist. Take care of yourself. Hi, guys. So, we're now in the segment of the podcast where we do a bit of show and tell. And today's book is a book called Exiles. It's by a Czechoslovakian photographer who basically has these poignant shots of sort of like his musings and his melia throughout different moments of his life. He escaped um, Czechoslovakia during the Soviet period and was granted asylum in England. And basically, this sort of like has within it just some really poignant moments from his journey. Um, I've only just began looking through it, but yeah, it was quite an interesting read, and I've always been a deep enthusiast when it comes to photography, and this was something just out of the ordinary for me. So yeah, would definitely recommend from what I've read it so far, and I hope to see you guys next time. Take care of yourself.